What's up, everyone? Ricky Perez here from PR Fitness Training. I got a great one for you today. This is going to be protein source related. People have a hard time hitting their protein goal, okay? So this is going to be very helpful for you. Now, reason why people have trouble hitting their protein goal is because they don't understand that there's a difference between foods that are protein sources and foods that contain protein but are not necessarily a protein source, okay? And I'm going to elaborate and explain that to you, and I'm going to give you a list of good protein sources and bad protein sources. So let me take you through this list. Before we get started on this, let me define a protein source for you. So protein sources are foods that are primarily made up of protein. And what I mean by that is they're high protein and then they have very little amounts of carbs and fats in it, or even in some scenarios have no carbs and fats, okay? So they're foods that are high protein, low in carbs and fats. That is a good protein source. That's something that you can say, hey, I need an extra 30 grams of protein. Boom, this is what I'm gonna grab. High protein, low carbs and fats. Now, on the other hand, there are foods that contain protein but are not necessarily a protein source. And I'm gonna give you some good examples. These are foods that you're better off using as a carb source or a fat source, but they're not something that you're gonna be like, hey, I need to get a lot of protein in. I don't have a whole lot of calories left today. If you're tracking your calories and macros, like, should I get this? It's like, no, you should not do that. That's a very inefficient way to get your protein in. The reason why it's important to understand this is that when your goal is to lose weight or get leaner for summer, then these high protein source foods are gonna be the ones that you wanna gravitate to. And more importantly, the criminal food making business has caught on. They start to realize, okay, we just sell a bunch of crap. It's just basically all carbs. People are catching on. They're realizing, hey, I can't just eat carbs all day. I need protein. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add small amounts of protein into these snacks, and we're gonna say protein packed on it. We're gonna put protein packed on the packaging, and then they're gonna be like, oh, I need a lot of protein, and they're gonna buy that, but they're really just eating, something that doesn't have a whole lot of protein in it. Hopefully after watching this video, you're gonna be able to decipher. You're gonna be able to look at foods. You're like, hey, protein packed. I'll be the judge of that. Look at it, not protein packed. Lying to me. Okay, so that's the goal of this video. So let's go through these. 5 great protein sources. I'm gonna bounce back and forth between lists. So number 1 on the 5 great protein source list is gonna be carton egg whites. Egg whites are basically just shots of protein. What I like to do with these is I'll have 1 or 2 whole eggs, which is protein and fat, and then mix in a bunch of egg whites with that, and then I'm able to get a whole lot of protein for not a lot of calories, okay? So egg whites is at the top of the list, and they sell these in carton egg whites. So like you can go to the store and you can just find them in cartons, and they're just bottles of pure protein. It's beautiful, okay? So you start buying those, mixing those in. You can eat them just with egg whites, or you can mix them in with regular eggs. Either way, it's gonna bump your protein up by a lot. So that's number 1 on the good protein source side. On the inefficient / bad protein source side, number 1, peanut butter. I'm sure you knew that was coming. And again, just because it's on this list doesn't mean it's not something that you should avoid or not eat. It's just something that you should not think of as being a protein source. So if I were to say to you, hey, where do you get your protein in? And you're like, oh, I get most of my protein through peanut butter. That tells me you don't eat a lot of protein, because peanut butter doesn't actually have a lot of protein in it. Peanut butter is a good fat and carb source, not a good protein source, okay? So again, not a bad food, not something you should never eat, just not something that you should use as your main protein source. And let's compare carton egg whites, which was the one on the good side, and peanut butter. Let's compare how much calories you need to eat to get 20 grams of protein in. If I want to eat 20 grams of protein, how many calories of egg whites do I need to eat versus how many calories of peanut butter do I need to eat? Okay, for egg whites, I need to eat about 3/4 cups of egg whites. That's going to equal 100 calories, and within that 100 calories, there's going to be 20 grams of protein. How much peanut butter do I need to eat to get 20 grams of protein in? Well, peanut butter, I need to eat 6 tablespoons of peanut butter, which comes out to 574 calories to get 20 grams of protein in. Now you tell me, hey, I need to eat 20 grams of protein. My goal is weight loss, trying to get shredded this summer. Is it more efficient to eat 100 calories of egg whites to get 20 grams of protein in? Or 5 times the amount of calories, 574 calories of peanut butter to get 20 grams of protein in? It's a no-brainer. Carton egg whites, high protein food. Peanut butter, not a high protein food, okay? Use it for your carbs, use it for your fats, not a high protein. Hopefully that example kind of hammered it home. You gotta eat 5 times the amount of calories in peanut butter to get 20 grams of protein in for what you could use for just egg whites, okay? Back to the great protein source side. 96% lean ground beef. This is gonna be very high in protein, low fat, no carbs. Okay, so this is a high protein source. Lean ground beef ranges from a whole bunch. You can get 96 to 99 is obviously the highest. I would not go anything under 90. 90 is really actually pushing it for me. I would like 93% or above in most cases, but 93, 96, 99, gonna get a high amount of protein in for a low amount of calories. So that's a great one. Back to the bad side, nuts. Okay, again, nuts are a fat source. They are not a protein source. So commonly I hear people, oh, I get some extra protein in, I eat a couple handfuls of nuts. Okay, you are getting a little bit of protein in with those, but you're getting way more fat in with those. Okay, so again, if you want to use nuts as your fat source that you're eating throughout the day, that's fine, but don't eat a bunch of nuts and think, oh, I'm getting a lot of protein out of this, because you're not. You're getting some protein, but you're getting way more fat, which is way more calories. Not an efficient source of protein. Back to the good side. Number 3 on this list is 93% lean ground turkey. Again, just like ground beef, you can get 93% lean ground turkey all the way up to 99% ground turkey. Both of them, high amount of protein, low amount of carbs and fats in it, so you can get a lot of protein in for not a lot of calories. This is one of my go-tos. I buy this in bulk at Costco. Absolutely love it. 93% lean ground turkey. Back to the inefficient side. Number 3, beans. Again, beans has a little bit of protein in it. Beans are, again, they're a carb source. People, and this is not your fault if you think like this, because the internet and all this other BS, makes you confused, because they tell you, oh, just because something has protein in it means it's a good protein source. That's wrong. Beans are a carb source. Okay, you can use beans as your carbs. They have a little bit of protein in it, great. But if you're trying to get most of your protein through beans, not an efficient route. Okay, it's a carb source, not a protein source. Back to the good side, number 4, chicken breasts. Just like everything else on this list, high protein, low carb, low fat. Important to note, grilled chicken breasts. Chicken thigh has more fat on it. Okay, so now you still get a decent amount of protein, but you're getting a lot more fat. Chicken breast on its own, high protein, low to no carbs and fats, great high protein source. Number 4 on the non-efficient side. Number 4, I have whole eggs, and let me just explain why. Whole eggs are basically 1-to-1 protein to fat, which means if I have 1 egg, I'm going to get about 5 grams of protein. I'm also going to get about 5 grams of fat. So if I want to eat 20 grams of protein, I need to eat 4 eggs. So I got my 20 grams of protein, but I also get my 20 grams of fat. So like I said before, you could do 1 or 2 whole eggs and get some protein in with that. Also got a little bit of fat in with that. And then instead of using more whole eggs to get more protein, use egg whites, which are just all protein. So I got 2 full whole eggs, and then I got 1 cup of liquid egg whites, and now I've just added a whole bunch of protein without adding any more carbs or fats, which is going to save me a lot of calories. Now I got a whole lot of eggs here for not a whole lot of calories. Okay, that's the more efficient way to go than eating like 5 whole eggs. Now, if you're someone that's really efficient at tracking their calories and macros, and you have a decent amount of fat to use, and you want to use 20 to 25 grams of fat on whole eggs because whole eggs taste better than egg whites, then by all means you can do that. But if you're just eating like 6 whole eggs a day, thinking that's how you're going to get a lot of your protein in, you're better off less whole eggs, more egg whites. Okay, back to the high protein side. This is the last one on this. Again, I can do more videos if you guys like this, but the last one I have on this list is protein shakes. Muscle Milks, Pure Protein, Premier Protein. This is the important thing to understand. When your goal is just to grab a protein shake to get quick protein in, you want that high protein, low carb and fat protein shake. If your goal is, hey, I'm not going to eat a regular meal, I want something as a meal replacement, then that's when you go for something higher calorie. Let's say it's got 40 grams of protein in it, but also 40 carbs and 15 fat. That's a meal replacement. But there's a big difference between the two, so don't get a protein shake confused with a meal replacement. And then the last one on the inefficient side is cheese. Cheese is a fat source, so you should use it as a fat source. Now, cheese is good because you can use it as your fat source, and then you also get the benefit of having some protein in it as well. But again, if you're using cheese as your main driver of protein, then it's not going to be very efficient because cheese is fat. But something that you can work in, and something that I definitely have every single day as my fat, but not as my protein. So I hope this was helpful for you to go back and forth between these lists. If you have any questions, put them in the comments down below. If you have other foods that you're wondering about, you're like, hey Ricky, is this a good protein source? Like, I'm not really sure. Put it in the comments down below and I will respond to it, or I'll even make another video going through a new set of high protein sources and foods that are just not efficient protein sources. Main thing in this video is understand, hammer it home, repeat this to yourself. There's a difference between foods that are protein sources and foods that contain protein but are not necessarily a protein source. And I gave you 5 examples of both. Thank you guys again for watching. Hope this was helpful. I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.